Okay, so we'll all right. So and we're live, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on, Miss Illy? How you feeling?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, man. I had some time to think about. I did a post on Instagram the other day,
Hmm.
and it was a meme that I saw that I thought was really interesting, and it talked about how men and women deal with breakups. And I started to think about it, and I was like, wow, that kind of hit home because I not only have I been through it, but I know plenty that I've watched plenty of guys that kind of go through that process. Um, the first thing I wanted to talk about is breakups. Is there ever
Yeah.
really is there ever really a good way to break up? I know people always talk about, oh, just tell me, be honest, tell me the truth, whatever, whatever. But is there really ever a good way to do it? Or does it always end up? I feel like, okay, so like this the reason I say that is if
Okay.
I break up with you February 5th, oh my God, he broke up with me 10 days before, 9 days before Valentine's Day. If I break up with you on the 16th and your birthday is on the 23rd, oh my God, he broke up with me right before my birthday. It never seems there's always going to be something that kind of like,
Well, I mean, that's just collateral damage. I think that you can't really take into consideration. If it's time to go, it's time to go. We're not going to be looking at holidays and birthdays. But, I think we've all know, or at least know of at least one couple that has broken up, but were able to remain friends. So it's obviously possible to break up in a good way. Sometimes both people know that, you've reached the end of the road. And so it doesn't have to be a bad thing. But like, let's say it's one-sided and you're just not happy, feelings are going to get hurt. It is what it is. It's not easy. And I think the best way is to take the high road and let the person know and maybe explain why and be honest. Don't hit them with this, not you, it's me, when it's them. um and again, feelings are going to have to get hurt, but that's where the growth comes in, and maybe you can make them a better person for the next
what
one.
kind of, what kind of breaker upper are you?
Oh.
Speakers, yeah, right?
Yes, easier said than done. I'm definitely a, like, it's not you, it's me kind of person.
So you're like
Because
an avoider. You kind of
yeah,
avoid the conflict.
yeah. Now, but if the person asks, I think I would give them. But I think men are a little different from women, and they just be like, "All right, then fuck you." And so it's not, women are like, "Why? What did I do?" And then like, you don't get that same response from men. So my my approach has worked for me, although it's probably not the best. Or sometimes I'll just kind of check out, and I've done that. I'll check out and just wait for them to break up with me, and there's okay, bye.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've taken so many different approaches from, and again, you got to be honest. You can't fake perfection. You got to be straight up and honest. So I've used every technique from like straight lying to ghosting
Mm.
to cheating because I didn't want to be there anymore. To the one thing I never did, I always took the coward way out. That's the one thing I will be fully transparent on. I never took the man way out. You know what I'm saying? In my entire life. And to be honest with you, I don't know many guys that do. A lot of guys are gonna front. No, you gotta bullshit. Stop lying.
Yeah.
A lot of guys that I know take the coward's way out. Why? Because the hardest shit to do is watch a woman cry in front of you, especially if she liked you more. You know what I mean? There's a song, right? It says, "Love doesn't break even." So when there's a breakup, the song says one person gets freedom and
Mm-hmm.
the other one person does time. Like they have to take time and they soak. And it's crazy because I've been on both sides of that. You know what I mean? I've been on the side where I was like mentally gone for like a year. And then I've
Oh.
been on the other side where it was like, yo, party time next day. Thank God that's over. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or while we were together, it was like, hey, I'm doing me. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. So breakups, they're a funny thing because I don't think there's a formula to really do it. There's people that'll claim, I just want you to be upfront and honest with me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But then when you are, it's like maybe in the long run, it's better for the woman, right? It's better for the person, not let's say the woman, but for the person that you're talking to. But what it is you're almost being selfish because in the moment you don't want to deal with the drama. You don't want to deal with the crying or the
So
anger
then
that comes your way.
that brings up, like, is it okay to break up with somebody over the phone? Like, can you call them up and have that conversation, or is that shady?
Okay, so uh, okay, that's touchy, right? Because it depends. It's like if it was already toxic, right, and it was inevitable, like on both ends, it was already like clashing, and on both ends, right? See, I'm a believer that closure is a myth. It's bullshit. It's not for adults. Don't. That's not real. A lot of times you're not going to get closure. You don't have to. Nobody owes you anything. You know what I'm saying? Like we
Right.
search it because in our minds, in our hearts, we want this. Nah, bullshit. This is the real world, bro. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes you get dropped and you don't know why. Or sometimes you get cut off and you don't know why. And that's all it is. And there's never, ever another conversation about it. You know what I mean? But it's like over the phone, if you've already been toxic and there's already some anger there, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Oh, you know what? Why are we even doing this? Look, let's just, you know what I mean? Now, I don't agree with it when she's still in love with you and you're calling her up and you're like, yeah, well,
Hey,
you
baby, I
know.
know we had plans for dinner tonight, but
The thing is, it's always, guys always got a story. It's always a story when we break up. It's never like, yo, look, it's over. Like you just don't turn me on, or I don't really like you like that, or I don't have, it's just not it. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. There's some people that do that, but for the most part, it's like, oh man, I just have so much on my plate right now, and I'm busy with work, and it's just not gonna. It's just I don't have time. The funniest shit is right when I talk to men and I tell them, and we talk about not having time and whatever. They're like, they laugh it over. They're like, yo, that's bullshit, bro. Yeah, I lie all the time. But when you sell it, when I tell that to women, and I'm like, yo, that's not true. No, some men really do, and no, not all. No, because I know a guy, and you're looking at them
he's
like,
really busy. He's a really busy guy.
oh yeah. You know, what is the pettiest way have you ever broken up with somebody in a really petty way?
No, I'm
Oh,
too
I
nice
was king
for
petty.
that. You
I
do.
was king
Tell me.
petty. Oh man, I've done. Okay, so one of the simpler things I did, well, because we're talking about breaking up over the phone. One time I was talking to this young lady, and we were kind of seeing each other loosely, but it was there. And then finally, I was like, "Yo, this chick is. I don't like her, man. Like as cute as she was, I was like, I don't like you. Like that's what I was thinking, right? So we went out to dinner one time, and she was taking shots at me. And I was trying to be real cool, like, all right, look,
Oh
I see
God.
what you're
I
doing,
guess I already
whatever.
don't
Well,
like you.
whatever, right? So she didn't get the response she wanted out of me because I was very much like, all right, the opposite of love is indifference. So I was
Right.
like,
Right.
all right, cool. So she decides I didn't get the answer out of him that I want. So I'm going to call him because I want closure. So she called me up and I'm still not giving her anything. And the pettiest thing I ever did was I got so mad by the end, but I didn't want to let her know it. But right when I was ready to hang up, and I go, and it's salmon, not salmon. The L is silent, and I hung up, and I never talked to her again. I never talked to her again. I was like, that's it. Like that was my way of saying, go fuck yourself
That
one
is
time,
funny.
but without saying it. You know what I mean? I didn't want to curse her. I didn't want to flip on her. I'm the type. I don't believe in yelling at women. I don't do that. My voice never changes. So I was just like, look, it's salmon, not salmon. The L is silent. Like, and I just hung up. I was like, I'm
That
done.
is
It was
funny.
over. And then the pettiest
He probably
thing
hates you.
the pettiest thing I ever did in a breakup. Oh man, this is when I broke up and left. I took all the pictures that she had hung of me or my daughter out of the frames and left the frames up. I just took
Wow.
the pictures so that when she got there, The
Eddie,
pictures,
yeah.
it was noticeable that there was pictures missing in the frames.
Right.
And that was me being super passive aggressive.
That is.
Super passive aggressive.
Yeah, you
You
get the
know,
award today. I don't have any good petty breakup stories. Mm.
oh, I was King Petty. King Petty, man. It was bad. Like I a lot of it had to do with avoiding confrontation. A lot of
Mhm.
it had to do with feeling guilty because I knew I had fucked up or I
Mhm.
knew I had done shit. So instead of just confronting the situation, I used to be called I used to be called Carl Lewis. Carl Lewis. Because as soon as shit got tough, Carl
You
Lewis
out of
was the
there?
track star.
Yeah.
I was out. I was like, oh, word, I'm out of here then. Fuck it. And I would leave, right? And I'd be gone for a couple of days. And it'd be like, oh shit, I started getting coke. And then I realized you can't do that. Sometimes you gotta stay and fight. Staying and fighting is not always a bad thing, you know? But yeah, breakups have been a mug.
That's right.
I always tell people, yo, jump me, kick my ass, fuck me up. But don't, kick my ass 3 times, but don't break my heart once. That
Mm.
breakup shit is no joke, you know.
Yeah. We've all been there before.
And we can go into the next topic, which is heartbreak.
Mhm.
Um, and how men and women. The funniest thing about heartbreak is a dude is heartbroken when he takes that one picture on vacation with his sunglasses on, with his arms out, talking about just living life. You're like, oh, homeboy got hurt. She smacked him hard. Ooh, you know what I mean?
Right.
You're not fooling anybody because that's what you do. As soon as you get that heartbroken, what do? You go on vacation, try to live your best life. You try because what you're doing is, at least for men. You know what? I want to hear a woman's perspective because I have my theories. You know me.
Mhm.
What's your process, or what has been your process in the past after a breakup?
Um, it's like when we're talking about a heartbreak breakup. I haven't had my heart broken too many times, fortunately, but there is one. It's just time. This was one time, and it lasted months, and I was just sad for no reason. And you just kind of got to give it time and feel it and trust that it's gonna pass. My thing. I was a little older, so I think I was able to reflect and like look at the lesson and do all of the logical things to tell myself that it's going to be okay and you'll get over it. But there's really nothing you can do but wait. Time heals all wounds. I mean, you can either be sad and just be sad in that. I think what some people do is you take their sadness and turn it to anger, and then they might start lashing out at the person, and you calling and leaving voicemails and looking for closure or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But it's a process. And I think when you accept, like you said, sometimes you don't always get that closure. And I think women have a really hard time dealing with that fact. And it's always like I deserve it. And especially if I was good to you and that, like, no, it's just be sad. You'll get over it and
Work
let
it
it.
out.
Yeah, you just got to let it go. Time. It's really the only way.
See, fuck that. I'm back to being petty. Nah. I'm joking.
Yes.
See the thing, and this is you kind of almost hit what I'm trying to get at. Like, you see how you talked about when a woman breaks up, they process. Now, my thing is always usually women break up months before they leave mentally, right? I mean, could we say usually they're already checking out by the time. Men, I feel like we break up the day of the breakup. You know what I mean? Where a woman tends to break up before that happened, before it culminated to that event, she's already breaking up with you mentally, checking out, like creating distance, whether it's through silence, whether it's through difference. She's already creating a distance. And while she's creating that distance, I find like women tell you what they want and need from you. And they start to tell you, hey, look, hey, why don't you, or they nag and they're after you about it, or they stay on you about it. And what happens is we kind of look at you and we dismiss it. Whatever. Because men have to feel it, unfortunately. We're not the types we don't tend to listen. And again, this isn't all men. I am generalizing. This isn't all men. But this is a lot of men that I know, and I know I can speak for myself, that while the woman is making the complaints, or she's talking about certain behaviors or certain things that you're doing or you're not doing, we kind of dismiss them because we're comfortable. We're there, we're still maybe having sex, we're still having fun, we still go out every now and then. She comes back in and out. She's like in and out of the relationship. So when she's in, we have fun, we're good. So we kind of dismiss it because when she's out of it, oh, she's not bothering me, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And when she's in it, she's nagging me. Right. So women start to separate. The day we have the conversation and we break up, it's when it goes slash me across the face and it hits my ego. It's like, oh shit, this is real. So what you'll find is some women, right, they'll be able to transition faster into new relationships. But we all have friends that we're like, how the fuck is she in a new relationship already? How the fuck did that happen? That was fast, right? I used to be like, oh, that girl never loved him. But that's not true. I'm finding that that's not true, at least in my theory. My theory is I started healing the day we broke up. You started your healing process a couple of months before me. So where I'm broken up with you 6 weeks, 5 weeks, a month, you might be broken up with me 4 months, 5 months already.
Even if that's not the case, because this is assuming that maybe she initiated the breakup. What if she was happy and she was completely blindsided by the breakup? I think that theory may simply be because men are typically the aggressor, the person that makes the first move, So if you're in a heartbroken state, you're probably not thinking about no bitch, right? And you might go out with your friends just to kind of like pass the time, but you're not necessarily pursuing women. Whereas I'm heartbroken and I go to the club with my friends just to get out of the house and clear my mind. There's men at me left and right. And then it's suddenly like, oh, David, who? Huh? What? Like, you know what I'm saying? And so now.
But I'm going to clear something up, though. I'm going to clear something up. You see, this goes on to the next part of my theory, because you just hit on something again. I'm glad you said that. See, the misconception is that we don't go out and sleep around, because that's absolutely not true. What happens is, and again, I'm generalizing, but
who thinks that?
A man breaks up with a woman, the next day, the next week, the week and a half, 2 weeks through, he's trying to fuck everything that's moving.
Oh yeah,
it's either vacation, it's vacation, drinking, or sex, trying to get it out of his mind, get her out of his mind. And he's essentially just putting a Band-Aid on something that needs stitches. That's all he's doing. Eventually you get to the point where you're like, yo, I've just slept with like 7, 8 women in a span of a couple of weeks, and not one of them makes me feel good. Not one of them does it for me. This is crazy. And then all of a sudden, and I think a lot of women, when the breakup is either mutual or she broke up with him because of something that was lacking, you'll find that a couple of weeks, months later, he's on the phone calling. Hey, why, trying to get back. Like, no, let's work it out. Let's talk it out. Da, da, da. It's usually because he was trying to get out of his system and he couldn't. He couldn't get you out of his system. So he literally has to start. So that when he calls you, see, men wake up with you, they sleep around. 6 weeks later, they're crying in their pillow because they miss you. Why? Because they never actually dealt with their feelings. They covered them up, covered them up, covered them up. So again, so now it even adds to what we were talking about before, where a woman breaks up prior, let's say, right, let's say she's heartbroken, she breaks up prior. So now not only does she have that 2 months before the breakup that she was working it out, but now she has the time from the breakup on where she's kind of been processing. Where he never processed. He didn't process until 6 weeks out. So you know what I mean? Now 6 weeks out of the breakup,
honestly, men don't process, period. Like, and you're assuming that this is a man that's going to process. Like, I know a lot of men who they'll feel, because you can't help what you feel, but they don't process the feelings. And so it's like you just kind of shake it off and, all right, I'm down. And I think that is probably the biggest difference, because men are like, okay, fuck it, on to the next. And like, yeah, I miss a dog, but whatever, there's another one out there. Like, y'all don't really process, I think, the way women do.
I have to, we do in our own way, depending on how damaged we are. Okay. depending on how damaged we are, is the extent of how we deal with it. So, like, there was a point in my life where I was fucked up. Like, I was fucked up. I call it rock bottom. My friends, when they hear about it, they're like, "Yo, you have mad fun," and I'm like, "Nah, that was my rock bottom, yo." Like, I was spiraling after one breakup back in Jersey, and it was, um, I was working it out, right, but I was also so toxic that even in my working it out, I was still doing stupid shit. So because women will see you doing that stupid shit, they think that you're not in your moment of silence, right? In your private time, that you're not, or you may be with a completely new woman, right? You may be with and look completely happy. And the woman that you were with that's heartbroken is looking at you like, oh, you look at him, he's good, da, 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 or whatever. And in reality, you don't really have that peep into the window of my mind where when it's 3 o'clock in the morning, better yet, I'm not gonna lie to you, not even 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when I'm sitting there and I have a moment and I'm like, fuck, man, like I fucked that up. You know what I'm saying? I fucked that up. Like I could think about there was a period of time where like I've been that person where I was like, shit, I had moved on, which will kind of lead into the next topic that we're gonna talk about. But did I ever really? I was still dealing with it, but I couldn't let the world show it because it goes back to that vulnerability conversation that we'll have. I can't let you see it. I can't let anybody around me see it. I got to put on the brave face. I got to put this mask on and I'm good. And that's why maybe women see it as, no, men are, but the truth is, no, we're not. We're not good. You know what I mean? And if you catch that moment, that guy in a sincere moment, in that moment of clarity, you will get that side of him where he's like, nah, man, I fucked that up, man. You know what I mean? Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you fall out of love and you are able to move on. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes you don't.
Yeah, and
Sometimes
I think as women get older, we realize that when you're young, it's just like, oh, how could he move on already? You know, when you get older, you realize, like, yeah, I know at night when it's dark and you don't have anybody else, you're sitting there thinking about me, bastard.
I think the worst thing, and you tell me what you think, I think the worst thing is when you come to the realization, right? Not when it's ambiguous, you're not sure, but when you come to the clear that you didn't mean to them what you thought you meant. I think that's when it hits you at that second wave, at least for men. Let's say the girl's moved on and she looks happy, right? We go into this mind state where we're like, oh, it didn't mean to her. It didn't mean anything to her. We start to feel like she never loved me. You know,
Mhm.
we go into that. That's when the second wave of the breakup hits. So the first wave was we broke up. I went out, I spazzed, and then I tried to get back with you. It didn't work. Then I see you happy.
Somebody else.
Yes, and that's the second wave where it comes back and hits you again because you're like, how is she? Then you know what? I never meant anything to her. This wasn't real. Now, is that true? No, it's in our minds, but that's
Right.
something that we'll come up with to soothe our ego. To be like,
Mm.
it's not me. It's not
I was
me.
gonna
It's her.
say that's a
You
good
know what I'm
response. Yeah, this hoe, yeah.
saying? This project. Oh, you know what? You know what? That's the type of chick she is, and you want to start talking shit. And the truth is, no, it's not like that, man. You have to take a step back and really analyze. Now, a lot of guys will let their anger speak for them, especially if they're the ones that got hurt. You know, the thing about it is funny because I can remember the times I got hurt like it was a bad hand of poker. You know what I'm saying? But I barely remember the faces of the women that I hurt. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Not that I
Right.
barely remember their faces, but I barely remember what I really did because I
Right.
was so concentrated on my own emotions, my
Mhm.
own feelings, what I was going through that I kind of just I gloss over it, and I literally have to sit here and think the person's name, what happened, how it, and backtrack. As opposed to you name somebody that broke my heart, and it's like, oh shit, I know exactly how that shit went down, and and I'll give you details. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy, yo. It's like you just have you ever broken somebody's heart or
Yeah.
or or fuck somebody up mentally, like messed them up?
Yeah, but I didn't find out about it until years later. And ironically, it was just an ironic situation because it was a boyfriend, college years. And it was like this love triangle. So he was always cheating. And I finally had enough. Me and the girl, we had a conversation and we talked and I had enough and we broke up. And, I figured he would be sad about it, but it wasn't until years later. He told me like he was going through for like 5 years. And at this point, it has probably been like 10 years later. And he shared just, I guess, what I meant to him at the time. Maybe he didn't realize it because he was younger. That he really went through it. And like I said, I didn't really have an idea because my heart was broken too. Shit. I had heard this whole other life this man was living. So that's the only one that I ever know of. And I do have one other guy that told me that I did make him cry. But
How did that make you feel?
Broke up. That made me feel horrible. That made me feel bad. Like, I don't want to be that person. But it is what it is. I mean, I think we all like I have to do what makes me happy, and I feel like men should do what makes them happy too. And sometimes not being with a certain person is not it, and you gotta go. Feelings are gonna get hurt, and it is what it is. Unless it's a mutual thing, and you both realize, that this has run its course. Somebody's feelings are gonna get hurt, and I don't think you should not do what needs to be done just to avoid that. Because then you're just hurting yourself.
Yeah, I think the most selfish thing, right? But sometimes it's the best thing for you is you look and you're like, I deserve to be happy. You know what I'm saying? My thing is not about deserving to be happy. It's about how you approach. You know what I'm saying? Like what steps you take. Because at the end of the day, at least for me, I should never be concerned with somebody hurting somebody because I can't control that. You know what I'm saying? What I think is the message I want to put out is when you break up, I guess honesty, it is the best policy because you know what? It almost shortens the pain, I guess. If you're honest, I hurt you now, okay, you'll be in pain for a little while. You'll be able to start processing. But if I give you some ambiguous, like some bullshit answer, right? And I keep you on a string thinking maybe, oh, but it wasn't, or there's a reason why we're not together. See, a lot of times men will give you a reason why we're not together so that they could stay in control. So we can keep control of relationships. So it's not that we don't love each other. It's not that we don't have this isn't it. You're not the one. This is the reason why. My mom is sick. Oh, that goes back to the whole storytelling thing.
Right.
I'm at a point in my life where my kids are driving me. That's always a good one. My kids are driving me crazy, and I got to concentrate on my kids. Stop it. You're lying. You know what I mean? Just be honest with the person. Because if you leave them on that string and you leave them open-ended, then that's when the whole man too, want closure. And they're like, but why? But why? And that will kill somebody. That why? That's sitting there asking yourself, but what did I do? Why? Trying to resolve it because that shit keeps playing in your head.
Yeah, and you'll never know why. I think as you get older, hopefully the goal is to understand, like you said, closure is not always something that is given to you. And so you have to just take what you got. It is what it is. Like there's no why. It is what it is. Whatever the lesson I was supposed to get from this. I think a lot of times too, if you take a moment, you usually know why, or can at least have an idea. It's very rare, I think, that out of the blue, where everything's really happy and out of the blue, this relationship ended. I think that does not happen very often. There's usually something, and if your man or your girl won't give you the closure, give it to yourself, look at where you went wrong, what you could have done differently, and then just keep it pushing.
That's definitely part of it. I always post this and I always talk about this, man. My dad gave me, before he passed away, the best advice about heartbreak. It was just like for somebody who didn't even have an 8th grade education, don't get me wrong, he was a technical guy. He was hands-on type of guy. So he got an education in other areas. But the wisdom that he imparted on me, and one time he was like, and the way he said it, I think I took it to like the next level when I thought about it, but he was like, Mike, put your head down and work. Work on yourself physically, spiritually, emotionally and financially. One day you'll pick your head up and there will have been a woman watching you work, falling in love with the process of who you became, right? Now, I have to think about, he didn't mean literally. He didn't mean that somebody was literally going to be paying attention to me. What he said, what he was trying to insinuate was like, the universe has that woman there for you. All she's waiting on is for you to take the necessary steps to fix yourself in these areas so that you're whole. So that when you meet her, you don't shit on the opportunity. You know what I mean? And the more I thought about it, it was like, it was funny because what I did was, I'll tell you, after one breakup, I went straight online. I was like, oh, word to the Band-Aid, straight online. And I was a maniac for like 3 years online. And it was just all fun and whatever. And then one day I literally stopped and I said,
what am
I'm
I
not getting
doing?
any satisfaction out of this. I'm not getting any fulfillment out of this. Let me stop that. Let me look at my life and take a real look, like a real look. Like when you look in that mirror and you say to yourself, you're fat. You know what I'm saying? Or you're this. Like, be honest with yourself. Don't bullshit, sugarcoat. And I did that, and I was like, Mike, you're not living your best life. You're meeting these women that are meeting you where you're at. You know, which is a very cliche thing to talk about, where people don't hold, incomplete people meet incomplete people, stuff like that. But it's true. You meet somebody. So, and then when you reflect, right, you look at your breakups and your past, you're like, oh shit, man. This is where I was lacking. This is where I was missing. You know what I mean? So his philosophy, not only did it help me look forward and kind of change myself, but it also helped me look back on the mistakes I made in the past, who I was during those situations, whether it was my wife, whether it was a relationship I had after that, whether it was, a woman I was with down here, stuff like that. Like I would look and be like, did I ever really give them my best self? You know what I'm saying? No, and maybe that's the self that they were at when we were together. But I had to hold myself accountable, basically. A lot of times we break up and we'll review what happened and we'll review what went wrong, but we don't hold ourselves accountable. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that let's say you get broken up with it. I'm not saying it's your fault or anything like that, but sometimes you have to hold yourself accountable to who you were in that relationship. And a lot of times when you do that,
sometimes it's even like what you ignored. I think because I've experienced that, like the heartbreak situation that I had, it was like, okay, you're sad because it didn't go how you wanted it to go, but you probably knew that the whole time, you know what I'm saying? But you allowed yourself to stay, or, so you weren't necessarily the bad guy, but you didn't do what was necessary for you to really be happy. You stuck to this hope and dream of what the relationship could be, would be, might be someday. And you stuck around, and unfortunately your partner decided otherwise. So then you're just left holding the bag like, oh, damn.
What I do is, you said something before about time being your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy thing about time, right, is when time passes, you'll look back on a relationship and be like, not that you regret it or it was bad, but like, I'm not even that person.
No.
Like, wow, I'm not even that person. Like, that was literally a season in my life that I could never relive. I could never go back. I'm not that person anymore. As much as the person is nice, as much as cool, you look back and you're like, that was for a season. I'm not that. That was a lesson, a complete lesson. You know what I mean? And then sometimes you break up with somebody, whether it was your fault or not, and you're like, woo, I dodged a mother effing bullet. Holy shit. You ever feel like that?
Hell yeah.
I felt like that. I was like, oh man, I dodged the bullet. Because you look at what your life could have been or what it looked like, and you're like, nah, thank God. Oh God, you done for me on that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, breakups are a funny thing. Now, rebounding. Rebounding is one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most messed up things that you could do to a person. use them as a rebound.
You always know that it's a rebound. Like, I think when you went on your dating sites for 3 years and were just having fun, yeah, you knew. Now, I don't know what story you were telling these girls or whatever, but I think sometimes people get into relationships thinking that it's genuinely, going to heal them and, they're ready to move on and this is a better person than the last one, not realizing that might not be the case. Because I don't like whoever consciously is like, this is just the next person. This is not going to be my person. Like, you really be believing that this is it. But, everybody around realize like that girl still ain't over the last one.
See, it's like, for me, in my experience, right, why it was so messed up was because you would go into a new relationship and it was like you were 100% saying to yourself, this person, I'm not going to make the same mistakes. So you go all out and you are perfect. So you have this person that's blindsided by you. They meet you and you check all the boxes. You're the most amazing person. Your conversation's on point. Your sex game is on point. You're well put together. You have a career. Oh my God, I'm in love. I'm going to tell all my friends about you. And here's where it gets fucked up, to be honest with you. A lot of guys, what they'll do is they're so wrapped up in their emotional baggage and what they had going on that they don't look at the person for who she is in terms of she may have children and you come into her life and you bombard her with love, like, no, I'm the man for you. And all of a sudden she's like, normally I would never introduce a man to my kids this fast, but holy shit, this is special. Okay, you know what? Hey, look, these are my kids, only for that guy to one day wake up and be like, oopsie, I can't do this shit. I miss my ex. Right. That shit, like, karma has a special payback for people that do that. I've had to pay that price because I've literally done that where I was like, on more than one occasion, unfortunately, where it was like, I got hurt and then I met somebody and I threw all my chips on the table and I was there. Oh my God, finally met him. Holy shit. And then one day I woke up and I was like,
I'm not ready. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we talk? You know what I'm saying? It's horrible. It's horrible because that person literally you disarm them. They put that guard that they tend to have up, they put it down, and nobody knows how to put that down. There's two people that know how to put that down. I'll say three. A guy on the rebound, a guy that got kicked out of his house and needs a place to stay. And the third one is a baby daddy that had a falling out with the side chick and wants back with his baby mama. Lord. Those three. Those three guys, you got to watch out for them because all three of them are washing dishes, cooking, they're cleaning, they're hooking it up. You're coming home, you feel like, oh my God, this guy's the perfect man. And no, it's not true, man. Again, faking that.
Note to self.
Yeah. Note to self. That is, I don't know, man. Rebounding is
what classifies it as a rebound too? Like, does there have to be a certain amount of time that goes by, or is the next person automatically the rebound?
No, believe it or not, I think it's an emotional thing. Because check this out. So you could be physical with people and then not be a rebound. Like you're dating them, messing with them. That's not a rebound. That's just you occupying your mind, right? Whatever. It's the one that you kind of get into like a relationship with. Mm-hmm. It's more of an emotional thing. It's like a rebound is as long as your mind is still connected to the ex, or not always necessarily the ex. Here's the other thing I wanted to talk about before I go into that. Breakups aren't always about the person that you were with. Okay? Sometimes you break up. I was in a situation where I broke up with somebody. It had nothing to do with her why I was so broken and so upset.
Before that?
No, it was down here. What do you call it? It had nothing to do with that person because when I looked at that person, it was like, there was a lot of reasons why I shouldn't have been there. It was the situation because of where I was at when I met them. You know what I mean? A lot of times where you're at, where you are. Okay, so I know a girl, right? She had cancer. Okay. And
Cancer.
she was cancer and she was in remission. Okay. She goes into remission right when she's in remission and she's getting better and she herself, everything's coming back to her life. She meets this guy. Okay. And he tells her, "You're beautiful. You're amazing. Let's build this life together." And she comes out of the depths of hell, not because of him, but alongside of him, like with him, helping her. Like he's there by her side while she's coming out of this depth of like emotional despair, right? So she gets to this level where she's, oh my God, I'm healthy again. I feel happy. Oh my God, I'm in this relationship. But the relationship turned toxic. It turned toxic. Now, there was a million reasons why they should not be together. And she knew that. But the minute he left, this woman fell apart. Did she fall apart because of the relationship, because of him? Not necessarily. She fell apart, not because she loved the guy, but because what he represented. He represented the rise out of cancer alongside of him. And now that he's gone, she's like, did I do that by myself? I couldn't do that alone. Oh my God, I'm going. And she starts to sink back in like to these feelings, not realizing, no, you came out of that yourself. It just so happened that once you found happiness in yourself, you were able to have him. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't realize that. Like, I'll give you, my scenario was, I had been through mad shit where I was at. I meet this girl, and she didn't, it was like, again, it wasn't necessarily the person, but she represented, okay, so my biggest insecurity in life was being a bad father. And I'm a good father. I've always have been. But my insecurity was I didn't live in the house with my daughter. So I always felt like if you don't live in the house with your daughter, the best you can get is a B as a dad. That was my insecurity in my head. I always felt like that, right? And it was like this thing where I was not stable. I had a great place to live. I always had a job. This was all in my head. So I felt so unstable. I meet this person and we move in together, right? I come down here, we move in together. And all of a sudden I have this stability or this perceived stability. It's a place, a beautiful place, a job, you know, they look great. The appearance is amazing. So now I can look at my daughter and be like, well, you come here and you could spend some time here. And now look, I'm the stable dad too. Because the mom has always been stable. It's always been on point. So you know what I mean? So now she come here. So then when I broke up, not only was the breakup, but it was also that loss of stability, that credibility that I had. Now that's gone too. It was like a promise broken. You know what I mean? That I had to deal with. So a lot of times, like I said, it's not always about the person. A lot of times it's where you were or what they represented in your life. Yeah, because like when your life is shit and you have somebody and you're with them, you almost forget that your life is shit. You kind of could deal with it a little bit. It's weird, at least for me and men. And when she's gone, now I'm just dealt with the shit. Now I'm just back to the, fuck, this sucks, man. And now it makes you miss her even more because at least she provided some temporary happiness, some kind of escape from the bullshit. And now you don't have that. You know what I mean? So it's a crazy situation when you deal with that, you know? I think picking up the pieces. What was your go-to? What did you do? Let's start here. What was your go-to song after your breakups? Was there some music that you went to?
Oh shit, there was a song too, but I forgot what
they
song.
they say music could either make you forget everything or remind you of everything. So what were your go-to songs when you broke up? And as a matter of fact, I'm going to put a link down below and maybe we could start a breakup playlist of the favorite breakup songs.
Because it was funny because again, this wasn't so long ago. This was only a few years ago, but it was like some old ass Brian McKnight song. I think I just wanted to play
one last time.
I think that's what it was. Yes, that's
Man.
That's exactly what it was. Because I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get it out. I'm just gonna feel what I gotta feel, and we're done. And so that was like my purge song. But yes, that was so weird.
So I remember one breakup. My song was "End of the Road," Boyz II Men. There we come to the end.
Yes, I'm not gonna sing on here, but
I was in the bottle drinking that, singing that song out loud in the streets.
that's not the streets.
But and then I want to say this time around, it wasn't even like an R&B song. It was that "Love Don't Break Even" song. "Love Don't Break Even." He talks about love don't break even. I was like, "You fucking right," because I'm over here eating shit, for a while, and they over there looking like they having fun. You know what I'm saying? But that's one of those. So yeah. So people, if you're watching the video, please drop your go-to breakup song.
Oh,
Whether it's Mariah Carey, whether it's an old Whitney Houston, whether it's a Brian McKnight, Jodeci Boys, whatever you listen to, it could be some hardcore rock. I don't care. Whatever it is, drop it down below. I would love to start a breakup playlist and see what it's like. I don't know. What is the saddest song you've ever heard that referring to like a breakup? What's the saddest song you've ever heard? Have you ever heard like a crazy, wild, sad song? Like I was listening to like Etta James.
It was like some country song where like the woman died. Or no, there's a song. What is it called? I don't think she died. She broke up with the guy. It's called "I Stopped Loving Her Today" or some shit like that. And he talks about like all the years that he was sad and da-da-da. And I think at the end of the song, like he died, and that's why he stopped loving her. Like it was just like,
oh no. I like I always listen to like Etta James when she sees her what is it? Her man walking down the aisle. I wish I was blind or something. Like, oh my gosh, you can hear her in her voice when she sings that. There's a couple though, man. There's some really sad songs out there that if you want to feel that way, you could go down that pipe and get like I'll never forget. On a funny note, I remember being out at the Hard Rock, and this is stupid, and I was drunk. I got drunk. It was early in the break. I got drunk, and it was what the hell's this guy's name? Enrique Iglesias and freaking oh man, God, what's his name? All I know is he talks about I saw you bailando and whatever the hell it is, man. He's basically saying, yo, I seen you out there with this new guy. That's not fair. And I'm over here. Yo, it was one of those. I was on a stupor that night. Yo. I remember like I think I woke up in the water fountain. I woke up by the water fountain at like 4 a.m. with the sun hitting me. Like, where? Oh fuck! I gotta go home. Wow. That shit was wild.
Hope you got it all out.
Yeah, man. So how do you go about picking up the pieces, man? What did you do that got you back to feeling whole, other than time? Time is the answer that's universal.
Feeling, like I said, I think a lot of times people try to avoid feeling whatever they're feeling, and like I cried. Like I said, I would put on my little Brian McKnight, and every time it was supposed to be the last cry, but hey, might have one more and maybe one more after that. But I think women are a lot more comfortable with, especially sadness. Men do anger, that's y'all thing. But women are okay. And we're not okay being sad, but we can deal with it a lot better. We don't feel as crazy. Because I would cry, like boo-hoo cry, and I think most men won't sit in that space very long, if at all. And they cover it up and it turns to anger.
Did you have friends you can go to?
Yeah, but honestly, I think I processed a lot of it on my own because it was just feeling. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a situation where I needed closure and I wanted to try to figure out. I was at a space in my life where I could accept it is what it is. It really doesn't matter the why. And I just need to get through it. And the only way to get over it is to go through it. Like there's no avoidance of that. And so I felt sad, I would cry. And I would just, even if it was like a little 2-second, okay, we get it back on, get it back going. But I allowed myself to feel it. And it became a day where there was just no more tears to cry, and it wasn't because I was dried out inside, but I just was not sad anymore. And that person never really left my life fully. Like we maintained a friendship and, even a conversation of rekindling came back. And like you said, I realized like, yeah, I'm not there anymore. He didn't believe me until he had no choice but to believe that. And you get through it. But it's, I think and feeling it, you get through it faster because I was able to, one, be in my feelings, be alone. Like I didn't start dating again for almost a year. I just like let myself, feel whatever I needed to feel. And then when it was time, I was able to just move on like nothing ever happened. And now I'm super grateful for those experiences. You live and you learn.
What do you call it? It's like, yeah, I used to believe that you couldn't be friends with an ex because I always felt like one party still cared or there was some kind of like connection. And as you get older, you start to realize, no, because you look back on your life and you say, I learned from them.
Facts.
And they weren't a bad person. It just wasn't.
We were not meant to be beyond what we were.
There was nothing more to it. There was more to it. And I guess time helps that a lot. You know what I'm saying? Time definitely helps that. So as you create distance with the person, you start to see them for who they were. You start to see who you were in the relationship. You were able to kind of walk away and say, okay, no, we can still be friends. We used to be amazing.
Are you friends with any exes, or are you just saying that hypothetically?
I am. Actually, no, I am. Now, I look, like I said, I look back and I'm like, you were a dope person. Were you a dope person for me? Maybe at that time, but not now. I'm just so different. You're so different, and there's a lot of indifference as far as like that's concerned. It's more so like, I wish you well, but not with me. Like,
right? Yeah.
And I do it. Like, to be honest with you, if you go down my Facebook, I used to think I couldn't be friends with any of my exes. But now you go down my Facebook and I might have 2 or 3 on there. And it's always been very respectful, very like whatever situation they're in, whatever situation I'm in, we're cool. You know what I mean? Don't insinuate anything. Don't comment extra. Don't do nothing, whatever. As long as you respect each other's boundaries, we're cool. But what you realize is that when it's truly friendship, that's not even something that comes up. It only comes up when it's not friendship. When there's somebody on the one side that still has a little something, you know what I mean? Then they cross boundaries, then they push the envelope. When it's truly friendship, it's like, I never even thought of that. I would never. Like, why would I? You know what I mean?
Been there, done that. Yeah.
But, for a long time, don't get me wrong, like, for a long time, I didn't think it could happen. Like, I either, first of all, again, I wasn't whole. I was very toxic myself. So a friend, I would try to ruin that shit and be like, yo, let's hook up one last time. You know what I'm saying? Or let's mess around. And again, once you find yourself and you're in a good situation, you look and you're like, you take it for what the lesson that it was. You know what I mean? And you're able to learn from it. And that's all. If anything, I always say that breakups, they're important because the quickest way to get to the person the universe has meant for you is by learning all the lessons you need to learn along the way. The minute you learn all the lessons you need to learn, that's when the universe is like, okay, here, now you're ready. You know what I mean? But if you don't learn those lessons, if you avoid them, you dodge them, or you don't soak them in and learn from them, the quickest way to avoid the person that's meant for you is by occupying your mind with a person. You know what I'm saying? So, whatever. What do you call it? It's a horrible situation. It sucks. Everybody goes through it. I think everybody can relate. We're gonna get people that comment and act like their shit don't stink. Nah, that's bullshit. I don't believe that. I'm a one. I'm not gonna go through that. Blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? When in reality, men need to stop fronting. We need to stop fronting, bro. Stop putting the Band-Aid on shit that needs stitches. Deal with your emotions, soak them in, and you'll find that your healing process goes a lot faster and is more complete.
You don't have to keep repeating it exactly because it's not complete until you complete it. You're just gonna.
You're not sitting there listening to Drake. He used to call me on it. You know what I'm saying? You're not doing all that nonsense. You're able to just be like, okay, I can walk away, man, and becoming who you're meant to be too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know it's like I keep saying that, it's so cliche, but That's like the most important thing, man. Once you realize who you are and that you're good alone, you know what I'm saying? They say alone is good, lonely is bad. Lonely
Mm,
only happens when you're not happy with who you are.
with
You
yourself,
know,
right?
yeah, you're not happy with who you are, so lonely is bad. Alone is a good thing. You know what I mean? You're happy in your own skin with your thoughts. You
And
know
I
what I
think
mean?
learning to be happy alone is a very integral part of having a healthy relationship. I mean, because we start dating in high school, middle school. You know what I'm saying? And I myself, I was like a serial monogamous, as they call it. Like I had boyfriends, but I would have boyfriends back to back for years and years, and maybe a couple months in between, but never really taking time to get to know myself. And it wasn't until like probably my mid to late 30s that I actually stopped, having boyfriends and was like, pause, let me just be sad by myself and learn to be happy alone and not need the company of somebody to feel complete and whole. And, Valentine's Day, I used to, I don't have anybody, I'm all alone. And it was just a mess. And I think that's like everybody needs to have that. You got to learn how to be happy alone. You got to make yourself happy. You have to learn how to even be lonely sometimes and be okay with that. You know what I mean? And find
That's
ways
why online dating is so dangerous.
huh?
That's why online dating, I've completely had like, I used to be a fan of it. I used to be like, yeah, do it. Oh man, so much fun. That's why I've completely rejected the idea of
Why?
online dating, because a lot of that is people, again, okay, it's not everybody, okay, so you can't say, but a lot of it is men searching for that happiness that they can't provide for themselves. You know what I mean? And like I say, always say, they either provide it through a one night stand, through a couple of weeks, even a couple of months, and then they ghost people. They ghost them. That's why women get ghosted. They get ghosted not because of anything they did, and they leave women wondering, what did I do? What happened? Why did I? No, it's nothing you did. You can no longer provide that outside external happiness, and I didn't have it within me. So guess what? Because you can't give me that, now I'm done with you. Moving on to the next. You know what I mean? And that's what happens. Now, I always say this: men stumble into love online. You stumble into it. You meet this one girl, and it's like, oh, you're different, and that's cool, and that happens. But I think only 17% of, I don't know what the old statistics were. The new statistic is only 17% of relationships from online end up in any long term or marriage. You know what I mean? That's not a lot. You have a
No.
better shot at going to the mall and meeting somebody than you do of meeting somebody online. Because a lot of men, especially nowadays, because it's such a click away, they're all about that immediate gratification, that
But
microwave
what
society.
about in the older category of, because my thing is like, I just feel like even as a woman, like as I get older, me and some of my friends, you're not out at the mall as much, you're not out at the club as much, and so your opportunities to meet people become less and less and less and less, and so it's a way to kind of just put yourself out there.
No, I for women, I agree with that. That's fine. Yes, I'm talking about for most guys.
But I'm saying even for the guys, I'm putting
No,
myself in front of these guys that you're
no.
talking about. So
You listen. That 17% is what you're talking about, where it's a guy that I went through a lot of shit. I'm good. I'm over it. I'm a good guy. I'm just looking for that one special woman. But then remember, you're all competing for that 17%, and the odds of you getting that are what, like less than 1 in 5. So for every 5 guys you date, you're gonna run into one guy that legitimately is a nice guy, and a lot of times that guy,
that's fair.
he's
I
too,
was like a free dinner those other times.
exactly right. Exactly. He's too nice.
Yeah.
He's too nice. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. We're coming up on an hour. Listen, always a good conversation. I love the insight. You still owe me. I want you to come with a topic. You owe me.
You put me on the spot. Okay.
No. No,
Next
yeah,
week, I'm
good conversation.
viewer.
But next Thursday, hopefully I'll see you again. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you heard, click like, leave a comment, share. Let us know. That's how we keep this train moving. We want to make sure that we're out here and we're doing something people want to hear. Or at the bottom, if you have an interesting topic or there's something that you want us to cover, by all means, drop it down below. Let us know. Questions. You could always send your questions to dropping dimes 420 at gmail.com. or you can go to Dropping Dimes on Facebook, or Dropping Dimes, what he really means, the group on Facebook. You could also check me out, Dropping Dimes with Mike Nav on YouTube. I'm developing content. I'm starting to put some stuff up.
Nice.
You could always check me out there. And once again, I always got to give a shout out to my people over at Bona Imports. Premium Ethiopian coffee. I could love you more than coffee. I can't love you before coffee. These are my guys. There's levels to this shit. I promise you. Reach out. They can get to you in a couple of days. And last but not least, my guys over at Fox City Beard with the organic smell goods. Beard textures on point. Got my girl coming this weekend to take a look and tell me how it's going. Fantastic. I cannot say it enough. It's growing in full up down here where I can't grow hair. And where I don't grow hair, I'm actually shaving it because I want a particular shape, but it's fantastic. The beard oil, beard balm, whatever you need, foxcitybeard.com. I'll put the link down below. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. Miss Illy, as always, thank you. Appreciate you. And we are out.